Everyone wants to be there on Sunday, but as every short tracker will tell you, there is no Sunday without Saturday night. And every week, all across the nation, late models own Saturday night. This is the ballad of the sport's backbone, its hometown, its weekly star, and its greatest racing. This is Saturday night. This is On Tour. Welcome back to On Tour. My name is Buddy Pulley. I head up the late model coverage here on ATYL Media. Cars Tour had their first race of the 2025 season this past Saturday night, and damn did we see a heck of a show. The Cars Tour never disappoints. We saw a lot of comers and goers throughout the 125 laps, as well as a heck of a battle for the lead throughout the entire race. And a new tire in effect, as I harped on in the intro. We'll talk about that later. But let's talk about the track, New River All-American Speedway. As I said, it's one of the most abrasive tracks on the tour, and it's, a lot of it has to do with location. It's in Jacksonville, North Carolina, near the coast. And if you watched the first episode of On Tour covering the icebreaker at Florence, a lot of these tracks near the coast lend themselves to being more abrasive, and I'm no asphalt scientist, but the explanation I've gathered is it has a lot to do with the aggregate. It tends to be harsher on tires because of the materials used, things like seashells, things like that. So get used to that for tracks located near the coast. New River is a great little racetrack. It always brings a great crowd. There's a lot of support there. Last year, when Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran the Cars Tour race, there was standing room only. This year, there was a little bit more room to breathe, and the fans on site saw a heck of a Cars Tour late model stock race, but maybe just as good of a pro late model race. Pro late models, we're not going to cover too much throughout the season, but this one in particular, I wanted to give a shout out to Jade Avedissian. She scored her first Cars Tour pro late model win. She is the first woman to win in either of the Cars Tour divisions. And she did a hell of a job. We saw a heck of a pro late model race, as I said. She was in a battle with Tristan McKee, who dominated the race, and then TJ DeCare, who actually crossed the line first. He was disqualified, but don't let that take away from anything Jade did throughout the race. Jade is coming from the dirt world. This is one of just a few asphalt starts that she's made. And I was sitting down there watching the race with Ryan Millington and his dad, Scott, and all three of us were just so impressed with her driving throughout the entire night. She was stalking Tristan McKee, as I said, who dominated the race all night long. But when it came down to the end of it, it was a three-way battle, as I said, and it gets physical at the end of these things. And Tristan McKee in particular moved her out of the way, and she gave it right back. She wasn't taking anything from the pro late regulars. She did a great job, and I think we're going to see a lot more of her success in the pro late model division throughout the entire season. Another guy who we're going to see a lot of success from is Connor Hall. He won the late model stock race. As I said, it was a hell of a show. He had to fend off Cars Tour champions like Bobby McCarty and other regulars like Cade Brown throughout the entire night. But let's take a look at the rest of the results from the Cars Tour season opener at New River. Taking a look at the results from the National Dodge 225 at New River All-American Speedway, it was Connor Hall scoring his first victory for Junior Motorsports in the Cars Tour, and 2024 New River winner Bobby McCarty finishes second, with Ronnie Bassett Jr. finishing third. Carson Lofton in the Nelson Motorsports machine finishes fourth. Ryan Millington battled back from a restart crash to finish fifth. Caden Quapple had an issue in qualifying, had to take a provisional. He finishes sixth. Doug Barnes Jr. finishes seventh. Cade Brown in eighth. Donovan Strauss in ninth. And Laney Bice rounds out your top 10. Landon Lewis finishes 11th, Buddy Alves Jr. in 12th, Carson Hayslip finishes 13th, Parker Eatman in 14th, Landon Huffman had a spin, but he battles back to finish 15th, and Riley Music in his Pontiac Firebird finishes in the 16th position. Andrew Grady finishes 17th, Tristan McKee in 18th after the whole nose was ripped off of his car in an early crash. Chad McCumbee finishes 19th, and Deke McCaskill rounds out your top 20. Much like Tristan McKee, Minnie Tyrell had the whole front nose ripped off the thing. He finishes 21st. Caden Honeycutt finishes 22nd, and Clay Jones stopped on track with 5 laps to go. He finishes 23rd. The rest of the field was involved in crashes and failed to finish. Mason Diaz finishes 24th, Brandon Pearson 25th, Bryce Applegate 26th, Jake Bowman 27th, Max Reeves finishes 28th, 29th was Jared Fryer, and rounding out the field in 30th was Connor Jones. So Connor Hall is 1 for 1 with JRM in the Cars Tour. This actually isn't their first win together. They won the Fall Brawl at Hickory Motor Speedway late last year. Giving you a little backstory on Connor, he's the 2-time and defending NASCAR National Weekly Champion. He also finished second in the Cars Tour last year to Butterbean Queen. Then Connor was driving the number 22 car for Nelson Motorsports, which is one of the best cars in the Cars Tour field. But now he's been tapped to drive the best car in the field, the Junior Motorsports entry. And with that comes a lot of pressure, especially when you look at the 2 guys that preceded Connor in that seat. Josh Berry, one of the greatest late model stock racers to ever live. He's obviously now in the Cup Series driving the famed 21 car for the Wood Brothers. And replacing Josh in that car was Carson Quapple. He won 2 Cars Tour championships and the Martinsville 300, and he's now graduated to the number 1 car in the Xfinity Series for Junior Motorsports. So obviously a lot of pressure, but it does give a lot of credibility to the driver that Connor Hall is, that Dale Jr. would point at him and say, hey, you're the guy to take over this seat. And Connor did everything to prove that that was the correct decision by Junior Motorsports and Dale Jr. as he won the pole and the race. But as we know, that stat line doesn't always tell the full story. It was an all-out brawl the entire 125 laps. It was very tire strategy heavy, but Connor was able to stay in the top 3 all night, and with that was able to set his own pace. And that definitely paid dividends at the end of the night. I spoke to Connor after the race about the big win for Junior Motorsports and his late race battle with Bobby McCarty.
I mean, obviously getting the first win off our backs is a great thing. I think we had a really good car tonight and just happened to, nail it. Well, we didn't nail it. Brian Schaefer and our guys nailed it. I'm just the guy who's lucky enough to hold the steering wheel. And I just think that, like I said, I give all the credit to my guys. They did a fantastic job, gave me an amazing race car, and I was just, lucky enough to make it work.
Tell me about the tire tonight. Obviously, you and Bobby had a heck of a battle up there. Were you guys saving at all, or were you saving at all?
I would say we were both kind of playing the same game. I think he fired a little bit earlier than I did. I got behind him. I really thought he had it, and I was like, man, he's turning a lot better than we were at that time. And then I just kind of bided, 15 or so laps, and then started to apply some pressure and realized that where he was lacking, it was my strong suit. So just kind of with a little bit of constant pressure, was able to make it work. So I'm really happy for him, though. I mean, that's a huge run for him with that new car out of his family, his family team. So excited for Bobby and get to race with him more this year.
One of the best stories to come out of New River was that of 3-time Cars Tour champion Bobby McCarty. You heard Connor Hall reference in his interview the battle he had late race with Bobby McCarty. Bobby actually won last year's New River race, but that was driving for R&S race cars. He's now with a new team, his own team, McCarty Motorsports. And though the Cars Tour is considered grassroots level racing, you still have the juggernauts like Junior Motorsports, like Kevin Harvick Incorporated, Lee Polium Performance, and even the team Bobby left, R&S Race Cars. So putting your own operation together, it's no easy feat. And that says a lot about the operation that Bobby's put together, because he was up in the thick of the battle for the win all night long with Connor Hall, with Cade Brown. And though they may leave New River asking what could have been, the second place finish has Bobby awfully optimistic about what's ahead for his new team. Last year's New River winner, Bobby McCarty, comes up just a little bit short tonight. You had a heck of a battle there with Connor Hall. What did you need to come out on the better side of that?
We just needed some left rear drive, man. Our left front grew a little too much air, and it just takes cross out of it when it does that. And we lost just the littlest bit of drive. But I mean, to win these things, you about got to be perfect, you know. So, but to come out the gate with my team, my car, you know, just our deal. We're a small team. We're not nothing huge. I don't have a crazy budget or none of the other stuff that guys like Ed have. So to be within half a tenth from him, with at the end of the race, I'm not complaining. We know what went wrong. We know now that we got a race on the car. We know what to do. So just big thank you to everybody that believed in me and stuck behind me through this deal. My parents with Champion Automotive have been a big support. Stephen Doe at Graphic Solutions, he's helping a ton, and he spotted for me tonight. He did a really good job. And Bill Steen, DMS, Jackson Construction, Pool Farms, just everybody, man. I really got to thank Barry. We had a carburetor issue, and we're still new, so I haven't got around to buying all the extra, doubles of what I need. And the carburetor is one of them things I ain't got. So I had to borrow a carburetor, and Barry come by and he said, what's wrong? I said, something's going on with the carburetor. He was like, what do you need? I said, I need to borrow a carburetor. He's like, well, you know where they're at. And I was like, man, thank you, dude. And I mean, he really saved the weekend for us. So a big thank you to Barry.
After the race, I waited for Bobby to load up before I got a word with him. And in that time, I saw many different drivers and crew members from other teams come up and congratulate him on the run. And, through the process of tech and load up, it became very apparent to me that this was a huge win for that team. This exceeded all expectations. But when you have a champion like Bobby McCarty at the helm, the potential to do great things is always there. Heading into New River, the big storyline was the new tire compound for the Cars Tour. Now, the tire widely used throughout late model racing is the Hoosier F45. It's a traditional late model tire, a softer compound that produces high wear. The quote-unquote problem with this tire is that throughout the beginning and middle portions of races, drivers will lay back, saving as much tire as they can for the end of the race. This was a problem that the Cars Tour wanted to solve. So Hoosier developed a new tire at the beginning of last year called the ST2. This was a harder compound, hoping to allow drivers to run harder throughout the entirety of the race. Now, the ST2 had some consistency issues, so much so that some teams even wanted to sit out the race at Wake County Speedway last year. Thus, the Cars Tour had to revert back to the F45 at the end of last year. Now, for 2025, we have something new. Enter in the Hoosier F45 Star. It's supposed to be a hybrid of both the F45 and the ST2, marrying the best of both tires together. And from what I saw, it accomplished the goal. We saw drivers like Chad McCumbee, who had to take a provisional and start in the back. He charged all the way to the front of the field, but by the end of the race, he was paying the price for that. He ended up finishing a lap down. On the other hand, we had the Lee Polium performance cars. Laney Bice and Doug Barnes Jr., they played the old butterbean strategy of wait out back and try to charge through the field towards the end of the race, and they weren't able to make that work either. We saw a great balance of needing to hold your track position and also needing to save tire. And from what I heard after the race, a lot of drivers agreed.
Yeah, I was definitely impressed with the new tire. It held up a lot better than the normal 45s do, I feel like. I've never ran here before, but in recent years, I feel like they saved a lot harder. This race tonight, I feel like we didn't really save a whole lot. And we had this push without slipping the tires, I feel like. So they held up a lot better. I was really impressed with them.
These tires were phenomenal. I think that was a really cool race here. We haven't been able to race here like that ever. So to run the pace we did and keep speed, and I felt like me and Connor put on a pretty good show up there, trying to figure out who was going to set the pace of the race. And
yeah, I was really happy with it. I think it's just going to come back to Hoosier, just giving us a consistent tire week to week. And if they can do that, I think it's going to be just fine. There's nothing wrong with this tire at all. So we'll just go off that, and hopefully they can repeat week to week.
Earlier in the show, you heard me talk about how hard it is for a family operation to compete in the Cars Tour. And like Bobby McCarty, Ryan Millington is one of those doing more with less. He was in contention to win the Cars Tour Championship last year, and he's back again in 2025 to run the full tour. But things didn't start off as planned. Lap 5, a restart. Jake Bowman misses a shift, causing a huge crash on the front straightaway involving Ryan Millington. The left rear quarter panel was blown off the car. The back glass was even knocked out of it, but it was all hands on deck to get the 15 car fixed. And I think I counted as many as like 3 or 4 different teams trying to help get the car put back together. And all that work paid off because Ryan brought it home with a 5th place finish.
Your back glass looks like that. Your quarter panel looks like that. Tell me about your night overall.
Needless to say, we had a really long night. Definitely nothing to complain about. You know, we qualified 5th and was running right there 5-10 laps in, and someone missed a shift on an early yellow there, and we wadded it up, and we got wheel hopped in the back, and they took the left rear quarter off and had to come down the pits, and we were able to get it fixed back up and got back out there, and man, we had a really fast car. I really think we had a shot at probably winning it. I think if we didn't have to go to the back like that, but either way, we came back up to 5th, and everybody knew we were here. I can promise you that.
After the race, I was having a conversation with Ryan's dad, Scott Millington, and he told me the first thing he said to Ryan after he got out of the car, that's what wins championships. And he's absolutely right. That's going to do it for this episode of On Tour. The next episode will follow the Cars Tour race on March 29th at Wake County Speedway, my home track. I have the grueling 15-minute drive all the way up to the Speedway, so hopefully I see some of you guys out there. Don't forget to subscribe to ATYL Media for all your motorsports coverage, but especially late model coverage right here on Tour. Big shout out to our new partner here at ATYL Media, Happy Hour Racing. If you're looking for gear to support your favorite driver, chances are Happy Hour Racing has you covered. I'll leave the link in the description below, but big thank you to them for supporting us here at ATYL. Yeah, that's all we got. As always, support your local short tracks, and we'll see you at Wake County.